from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
To the Tobago Updates Morning Show. My name is Alex Brown and it is good to be with you. It's Monday, 29th of June. Would you imagine June has gone by so quickly? There's just one more day left in this month. Monday, 29th June 2026. We're happy that you've joined us and certainly we look forward to sharing the next hour with you. Unfortunately for many of our viewers, I'm alone this morning. You won't see Renessa, but we're likely to see her again tomorrow. We head on quickly to our news in 90 seconds. The Caribbean has joined the rest of this nation in mourning the sudden passing of Oscar Dennis Benjamin, affectionately known as Oscar B, who died early Sunday morning. Ironically, his passing occurred hours before his scheduled healing concert at the Shore Park complex, which instead proceeded as an emotional tribute celebrating his 4-decade career. Official tributes have poured in from Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, Tourism Secretary Zorisha Hackett, Culture Minister Michelle Benjamin, former Minority Leader Kelvin Morris, and the Signal Hill Secondary School. His celebrated musical journey spanned from the Signal Hill Alumni Choir to international stardom as a lead vocalist for Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. In youth excellence, 17-year-old sixth form student Shania Phillip of Signal Hill Secondary School has been adjudged Tobago's 2026 Junior Secretary of Tourism. Phillip secured the top spot following a standout presentation at the Tourism Youth Congress held at the Scarborough Library. She will officially represent Tobago at the Caribbean Tourism Organization's Regional Congress in Guyana this October. And finally, traffic investigators are managing several separate accidents. Vehicles overturned in major crashes near the Lambo traffic lights and in Moriah, while a multi-vehicle smash-up was reported in Glamorgan. Meanwhile, criminal investigations are underway after 3 masked men broke into the NP Quick Shop in Orange Hill and an alleged shoplifter at the Smart City supermarket in Scarborough was apprehended. That was your news in 90 seconds. Join us at 6:30 p.m. for a full newscast. We must say greetings to those who've joined us on YouTube, Facebook, Flow, Digicel, AMPLIA, whatever medium you've decided to join us on. Good morning to you and welcome, and we trust that you are going to have a good morning with us. As usual, we're going to talk football and the FIFA World Cup that is ongoing. Marcus has joined us virtually to give us this morning's World Cup roundup, as it were. Marcus, good morning to you and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you, Alex. Just that you had a wonderful weekend.
It was indeed. And how was yours?
Fantastic. I mean, I was a bit grieving yesterday. Only one match yesterday, but an entertaining match between the round of 32 matchup yesterday, and we saw the first African nation team out of 9 that would have qualified for the round of 32 going out against Canada. And I'm supporting the African nations, and I'm also supporting CONCACAF. So I was happy yesterday that Canada got that 1-0 victory against South Africa, albeit a very late goal. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the knockout stages, however you can, they would have achieved that 1-0 victory yesterday, and they have made their way into the round of 16. So congratulations there to Canada, and tough luck to South Africa and their fans. South Africa being one of 9 teams out of the African continent in the round of 16, and they were knocked out yesterday. So looking forward to seeing the other teams, the other African nations in action in the days to come. I look ahead, Alex. Today we have Brazil versus Japan, Brazil versus Japan. That's a big matchup. I know a lot of fans in the Caribbean, they do support Brazil. And just a bit of history with these two teams. They have met only once at the World Cup, and Brazil, they got the better of Japan. That's way back in 2006. Brazil won that game by 4-1, and they are yet to defeat Brazil. Japan in a World Cup match. I'm looking forward to seeing what today gonna bring, because the Japanese, based on their form at the World Cup thus far, they are very difficult to break down when it comes to their defense, and they can also attack. And some of the players they're going to look out for today in this matchup, we have Suzuki, one of the players of the World Cup thus far, and he's a goalkeeper. Suzuki, he's definitely going to be a man to watch for the Japanese, and I think he will have his work cut out today against the likes of Vinicius Junior, Konya, and with Neymar fit and ready to play. I'm expecting that the Japanese going to throw, not the Japanese, but the Brazilians going to throw a lot at Suzuki and his Japanese teammates. So I'm predicting a 2-1 victory there for Brazil. Who knows? I know a number of fans not supporting Brazil going to be wanting Japan to take the victory there. Game 2, in fact, that game starts at 1, and game 2 at 4:30 p.m. is going to be Germany taking on Paraguay. Now, Germany and Paraguay, they have actually met once at the World Cup way back in 2002, and the Germans, they got a victory by 1-0. And these two teams are coming in to the round of 32 with not 100% record. In fact, Germany, they were defeated by Ecuador in their last game by 2-1. An exciting game with Ecuador needing to win that game to qualify for the round of 32. But the Germans had already qualified, and they would have actually changed up their starting team. And they are coming into this game against Paraguay with 6 points. Paraguay, they have actually qualified in one of the best of the 8 third-place teams. And when it comes to World Cup, you can't really write off Paraguay. And when it comes to knockout matches, it's who's best on the day. Some players to watch for both teams. With the Germans, obviously, Kai Havertz and Musiala. Those are players to watch for the Germans. And when you look at the Paraguay team, and look at Ameron. That's an outstanding player there for Paraguay when it comes to the attacking end of things. And I'm predicting a 3-1 victory there for the Germans. And the final game later on today at 9 p.m., we have Netherlands taking on Morocco. The men in orange. Netherlands, these teams met once with the Netherlands coming out 2-1 victors in 1994. We're expecting an attacking game, an open game, an attacking game. Lots of goals I'm expecting in this one. I'm in fact expecting the Netherlands to come out 3-1 victors over Morocco. When it comes to the African nations, I think this is the team. Morocco, they are very dangerous. They would have gone all the way to the quarterfinals in the last World Cup in 2022, and they are expecting to go very deep in the competition this time around. But I'm giving the Netherlands the edge in this one. And players to watch are Gakpo, Bobby, and of course you're looking at Hakimi and Saibiri for the Moroccans when it comes to their attacking prowess. So 3 games on today, Alex, and we're expecting some more goals. So far, 216 goals in 7-1 matches, and I'm expecting more goals today in the knockout stage, round 32.
This has been quite a high-scoring World Cup. I can't recall a previous World Cup off the top of my head where so many goals were scored by this time. How has that affected your predictions? You predicted 2-1, 3-1, 3-1. Has that affected your predictions at all, or have you just looked basically at the statistics of the teams themselves?
Well, I mean, I am just here as a fan, and I'm an armchair critic, I like to call myself, and I'm not out there playing. But I mean, with the expansion of 104 games, and you have these water breaks happening, or the hydration breaks happening at the 22nd and the 67 minutes. You have players, fresher, and I'm expecting, But even with my predictions, the games are a bit more open, and teams are more adventurous in trying to win games in regulation time instead of trying to take it down to the extra time or even penalties. And so, yeah, I mean, I am here predicting based on the rankings of the teams, based on what I've seen in the group stages, based on the fitness of players, based on players who are on cards, all these different things, you have to look into when you are making your prediction, and based on history as well, and in terms of individual talent. And you look at Brazil with Vinicius Junior, Neymar, Cunha. These guys are playing in some of the best leagues around the world, and the pundits have actually ranked them as a team, especially Brazil, ranked them to get all the way to the final, and who knows, they may be able to take it as well. Netherlands also very, very dangerous when they are attacking as well, but they have been open at the back, and they you have seen that can score on them, but the games are more open. The players are a bit more adventurous and a bit more open to scoring goals.
All right, well, Marcus, thank you very much for the roundup this morning, and certainly we look forward to how those games are all going to pan out. Have a great day.
Indeed, have a great day as well.
Thank you very much. Viewers, as we proceed this morning, we'll look at what's on in our discussions. We have two major discussions to share with you this morning. First, we talk the THA budget. We're going to look at some of the details and how they may be interpreted, how we can probably assess what has been said so far between the budget statement and possibly some of the utterances we would have heard during the debate. We talk to Dr. Vanus James about his own assessment as an economist on the budget, and then we talk later on with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We're talking home safety and the importance of neighborhood watches. Certainly you would want to be present for these discussions. Stay with us. We take a short break. When we come back, we begin with Dr. Vanus James. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
My name is Carpage. I'm the head coach of St. Jago High School boys track and field team.
My name is Joseph Small. I am the head coach of the girls female program. Preparing an athlete is not just running on the track. You have the mental aspect, you have the nutrition aspect, and you have the support and the motivation. So there's a lot of factors that we have to look into, and we have to try to see how best we can deal with them as best as possible.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chill vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month with Caribbean Passport TV on this station.
Stay tuned for what's coming next.
And I have never, ever tried anything from the dirt oven.
Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday. Talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I pop the question, what you had to eat day? And boom, coconut drops. Boom, bread. Boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let we hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays only. You don't keep stock, we only sell on Tuesdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Backyard bakery for the win. Olia, a GT. I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. Tobago calling. Sweet vibes, sweet wine, everybody falling. We bring the culture straight to you. Tobago updates, we keeping it true. Oh gosh. Tobago updates on the screen. There we go. You're home for October carnival show. From the big stage shine to the rabbit hole line. We bring Tobago to the world in real time. Tobago updates. Tobago updates. Carnival 2026. We set the pace, 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 pace. Wave your flag. Anywhere you're there, anywhere. Island love, trimming all around you. Yeah. Big king lock on for the rhythm start. Tobago updates, Caribbean art, Caribbean art, 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 art.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. As promised, we're talking the Tobago Budget 2027, and we're joined virtually by Dr. Vanos James, who is going to share with us some analysis and possibly some perspectives on this year's budget presentation. Good morning, Dr. James, and welcome.
Good morning, Alex. Where's your colleague?
She's not in this morning, unfortunately. But okay. I'm sure she's seeing you asking.
Okay.
Dr. James, we spoke before the budget presentation on probably the directions that the budget may have gone if we were to see certain kinds of development and productivity and certain levels of growth in the economy 2027 and beyond. Have we seen any of that reflected, at least from your perspective, in this year's budget statement?
Well, not what should be there. There's a lot of stuff there, but the fundamental question is, if you want to transform a difficult economy like Tobago, what does the science say you should do? And there's a sense in which you can't know that, Alex, without studying the national data, because you can't rely on the Tobago data. It's not produced by the CSO. It's not produced in collaboration with the CSO. And no one knows, at least I have never seen any methodology that is used that I can assess and see whether we're getting valid data or not. But that said, if you know the national data set allows the work to be done, at least up to a sufficient degree. And if I am designing a development program for Tobago, I would analyze the national data set thoroughly and then fit Tobago into that. By the way, I would also, as we tried to do when we set up the PRDI in the first place, we anchored all the PRDI's work on a tight collaboration with the CSO. And if I were to advise the government here in Tobago, I would say you should move urgently back to some design of data collection in which you link closely with the CSO. I may point out to you that the number one missing ingredient in the document is a clear understanding of what we have to do to achieve the autonomy that they talk a lot about in the document. But second to that, and not a distant second, is the major agenda needed to grow the speed of learning in Tobago as part of the national agenda and maybe the CARICOM agenda to grow its speed of learning. In that sense, I don't see the critical minimum things needed to take Tobago forward, quite apart from all the industrial restructuring stuff that's needed and so on.
What would your thoughts be? Viewers may not necessarily have remembered. What would those things be in terms of the pathway that would grow the economy, grow the rate of learning, and certainly this rate of learning is going to transform how the economy operates? What would those things be, or what ought they to have been that would have made this budget statement probably more aligned to what, in your assessment, would be the path we should take?
Well, we've been modeling the speed of learning function across the Caribbean. And the single most important thing that we have to pay attention to is the rapid march of AI, of artificial intelligence. Now, when you look in the document, you see a number of statements about the education reforms that are needed. Some of those make sense. I have long advocated the need for a thoroughly well-articulated program to put the education system in Tobago on a dual track, equivalent, equally important track. Academic track, just as important as a skill-intensive track. And by that, I don't mean, and I don't think the science will support, what we normally call tech-voc education. Tech-voc education in the old-fashioned sense is plumbing and masonry and the industrial arts in general. But every profession has a skill component. And when you set up the education system, what you have to do is understand those skill components and educate relatively more for them on the skill-intensive track, while you understand the traditional value of academic work. What you're doing as a journalist is a skill-intensive profession. There is the underlying academic aspects of that in linguistics and other things like those. So you have to decide how you want to emphasize. And if people are coming into the labor force with an intent to make their way, they need, depending on what they're going to try to do and how they try to fit, they'll need either the academic excellence or they'll need the skill excellence. Medicine, for example, is a skill at the tertiary level after the first degree. So you got to learn to do medicine. The same with law. So every profession has a skill component. And when you're setting up the system, you can't focus on what traditionally was called tech-voc. You have to see the skilled component of the professions as against the academic component of the professions. I don't see that understanding in the document. But if you don't have that, you'll go after tech-voc, and the records we already have would tell you that you're not developing your economy based on what is traditionally called tech-voc. It's useful, but if you look at what's happening in the manufacturing sector of the country, for example, which tends to rely on what we call tech-voc education, you will see that it does not contribute dynamic comparative advantage or even creativity to the innovative capacity to the development of the economy. So that's not the direction in which Tobago has to go. So my point is, those things are said in the document, and it's valid to say you need a dual track, but you have to be careful what you mean by that. And I don't see that meaning in the document. But beyond that, the major thing that is critical in the modern day is the rise of artificial intelligence. And it warns you, if you understand what it is all about, it warns you that the world is now putting science and therefore scientific education on steroids. That's what agentic AI is all about. It uses mathematical logic, that's the rationalist part of science, and it uses statistical induction and causality modeling. That's the machine learning component that's driving the thing, and that's the empiricist part of modern science. And both come together in modern agent-driven agentic AI. And what's going to happen in the workplace over time, and that's over time is not long, not 20 years, not even 10 years, it's pretty much now, is that people are going to go to work and find that AI agents can do a huge amount of whatever they were going to work expecting to do. And if you don't equip them with the underlying tools, they'll find themselves either out of a job or out of their depth in the job they have. You can't leave the Tobagonian in that state. So we have to understand this modern match that's spreading all over the place. You would know, Alex, that some artists are now complaining that agentic AI is copying and duplicating their work.
Originality is no challenge.
Exactly. And so it's going to happen even in the creative industries, which doesn't rely on science as much as it relies on common sense and culture. But by and large, what agentic AI is going to be able to do, especially with the symbolic logic used to transform anything it observes, unstructured data, into science and mathematics and creations as a consequence of that. That's what's really happening to the artists. And we are going to have to be careful here in Tobago, otherwise we'll find ourselves behind the curve for the next 1,000 years, just as we have found ourselves behind the curve for the last 144, 45 years. So, this is important, and just focusing on that education component alone, that tells you you're really not seeing the thinking going on there. May I point out that I think the number one reason for that is not the lack of intelligence inside the THA or anything like that. It's the closedness of the institution. It has been closed for 46 years. It's not designed in a way that it could engage in a proper conversation with the rest of Tobago. So all of the research that I am doing as part of my normal work, the THA doesn't have access to. And it could if it was designed in a way that anybody could share the information with it. The way it's set up now is friends and supporters and so on who would be heard if even they are heard. But if you're going to run Tobago and develop it, you've got to hear from everybody, from all ilks, all political persuasions, all scientific capabilities, local, foreign. You've got to hear from everybody, and you have to set up the institution for that. It is not set up for that now. So that's the number one problem that is evident in the budget document. And next to that, the absence of any focus on the speed of learning. So the point is, you've got to get a refocus on science driven by AI. Let me put it that way. It's no longer the teacher who could go in the classroom and teach the child about science. AI is going to be able to do that much better than any typical teacher, So we've got to reconfigure the education system around that. Laudable all these things that are said, but those are ground floor things. If you want to move Tobago forward, you've got to get past the ground floor and go to floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and floor 3 and floor 4 is where modern agentic AI really is. And it demands urgent changes I don't see in the document.
One of the things, Dr. James, that has not, in my humble view, changed much is what seems to be a reliance or a dependence on what happens or does not happen in Trinidad. I am not sure that we're at a place or whether you, from your professional and scientific capacity, would have seen something I did not see in terms of a shifting away from reliance or dependence on activities in Trinidad to bolster what happens in Tobago.
Well, that's maybe culture and habit more than law. The way the law is written, including the THA Act, even with a THA as badly organized as the one we've put in place since 1980, Tobago has the opportunity to lead the country. It could deploy its capabilities to study the national circumstance. It could fill gaps you don't see being filled in Trinidad to understand where the nation has to go. And it could then lay out where Tobago fits in that and where Tobago wants to go. it could also understand the sense in which what we're doing now will not work and draw that to the national attention. But all of that will have to come from a proper study of the national data. And what is happening there that you are talking about is largely the consequence of followership rather than leadership. You understand? Followership is part of that old tradition from slavery that you're kind of a kind of nobody, as Jesse Jackson used to say, and so your thinking is not the thinking that you must put to the world. But you can't, if you are Tobagonian, you can't engage the world that way. You got to put your science to the front and say, look, this is what we're finding. And you have to pay attention to that. It's the failure to take that stance that leads to what you're calling some tendency to follow Trinidad. I'm an economist and I know all the economists in Trinidad, and I have no tendency to follow them because I don't see the kind of research that is needed to understand the country's future and even its present being done by the analysts that I see practicing in Trinidad. So I share what I do with the country, and that's full-fledged research using all the national data sets that I can get access to. I don't see why Tobagonians or the THA ought to simply adopt what you are calling as a practice to simply follow. And the law doesn't say you have to do that kind of thing.
What I'm trying to get a proper way to express this thought. What would be a reasoned approach in terms of a shift from dependency and followership, as you expressed it, to one where there's leadership that says, we have been doing this, it has not worked in our benefit, we need to change. And it's not necessarily at this point an issue of this is what we must do, but at least in the first instance, how do we say this has not been working, we have to start a conversation about it? What would be, because sometimes what we've seen in the past was some antagonistic type of utterances and postures has not gotten us where we want it to be. Other times we've seen reliance on what one individual referred to as the milk of human kindness. That too has not worked. What would be a reasoned approach if we were, like you would say, or like you'd actually said to us, this is what the science says? How would we see a reasoned approach to making that shift? What would it look like?
Well, that's a good question, actually, and I think the proper answer, when you really dig into the details, is that the country has to be organized as a distributed learning network, meaning every village is a learning center. The whole of Tobago has to recognize that you have some learning going on in Scarborough, including what the THA as an outfit is doing. But some learning is going on in Canaan Bonaccord, some is going on in Seaville, some is going on in Castara and so on. And you have to take account of that and provide the relative amounts of autonomy in the various learning centers so that the overall speed of learning of Tobago can grow quickly and dramatically. And if that's true for Tobago, it's doubly true for Trinidad and Tobago. The country has to be organized as a distributed learning network so that Tobago is a learning center and its parts, its nodes inside the communities. But the same would be true for Trinidad and its administrative districts and so on. So if you think of it that way, what would happen is that Tobago would no longer be looking to wait on Trinidad, as you asked in the earlier question. It would be saying, well, okay, let me see what the country doing. Let me get into the business of accelerating my learning function and put steps in place to prevent the nation from dragging me back. Otherwise, the national pace would hold me down. That is the way the country has to be set up, and that requires proper understanding of the notion of autonomy, because autonomy doesn't mean any hostility to Port of Spain. What it really means is a device which allows you to grow your learning function through government and all the other agencies, while benefiting from the network, from the whole country's capacities, and for that matter, from the Caribbean's capacity. That requires modern day infrastructure, in AI architecture, technical capabilities, and so on. And you have to put that in place as a matter of priority in order just to know properly what you have to do. So it's no longer that you run in the world in the authoritarian way the THA works or the central government works, for that matter. You have to recognize the critical value of autonomy in the communities. When I see the THA and hear the THA talking about autonomy, they're talking about some kind of posture with respect to Port of Spain. But really the heart and soul of the thing is organizing yourself in such a way that you can maximize the learning going on in every component of your society. In Roxborough, in Seville, in Argyle, wherever you look, you should see a dynamic learning function in place. And that could only come when people are taking responsibility for their own progress and trying to push ahead and then taking steps to benefit from the totality as we go along. So that would be, in my view, the hottest priority. And you can't get to that unless you organize Tobago properly. You don't need to wait on a change in the law, by the way, in order to get that done inside Tobago. You can just go ahead and do it. So when people are talking a lot about legislative approaches to autonomy, that signals a failure of understanding in and of itself. Not that legislative approaches are not important, they are. But the priority issue is to get down to the citizen and open the door to knowledge sharing, information communication, and information and knowledge production in every place, in every space, in the businesses, everywhere you go. That has to be the emphasis. And if that is not the emphasis, you'll be a knowledge backwater and you'll be a development failure when all is said and done. And that has been our experience for 127 years in collaboration with Trinidad and 144 years since the Tobago economy collapsed.
Dr. James, this is so much. We want to take a break. Stay with us, you, Dr. James, and viewers. We take a break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. And remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything.
From the reef to the road.
From the reef to the road.
From the reef to the road. Tobago calling. Sweet vibes, sweet wine, everybody falling. We bring the culture straight to you. Tobago updates, we keeping it true.
Oh gosh. Tobago updates. On the screen, there we go. You're home for October, can't even show. From the big stage, shine to the rapid roll line. We bring Tobago to the world in real time.
Tobago updates. Tobago updates. Carnival 2026. We said the pace. Wave your flag. Anywhere you're there. Island love streaming all around you. Big thing love, come for the rhythm start.
Tobago updates, Caribbean art. Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339.
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka in the Grove. the golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But do you know your numbers?
Of course, 624 333.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the soca party.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chill vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month with Caribbean Passport TV on this station.
Stay tuned for what's coming next.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
My name is Carpage. I'm the head coach of St. Jago High School boys track and field team.
My name is Joseph Small. I am the head coach of the girls female program. Preparing an athlete is not just running on the track. You have the mental aspect, you have the nutrition aspect, and you have the support and the motivation. So there's a lot of factors that we have to look into, and we have to try to see how best we can deal with them as best as possible.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Thank you for staying with us, viewers. We continue a discussion with Dr. Vanus James, and we're looking at the THA Budget 2027. Dr. James, I want us to shift a little bit to some of the figures that were presented in the budget and how they may influence what we can look forward to or not look forward to. One of the things we saw is that there was a report that said that Tobago's economy grew by 1.7%. This is a figure that suggests that Tobago's economy is actually growing faster than the national economy. Have we seen actual activity that would agree with this or would say, yes, this is evidence that this is what is happening? Or has it grown, presuming this to be true, has it grown in ways that are not immediately visible to the man on the street and would probably be something that scientists like you would be able to identify?
Well, remember I began by observing for you that the data you have to use the data in the budget with a grain of salt because it's not official data. It's not computed in collaboration with the CSO or by the CSO or even supervised and scrutinized for assessment and so on. So you have to be careful with that. But let us agree for the moment that the 1.7% makes sense. Now, if that is happening, the document ought to explain to the country how it could grow at 1.7% while the nation is growing at 0.24%. Right? And remember, over the 10 years of Dr. Rowley's reign, the real GDP declined dramatically by near 20%. So what is happening in Tobago? So the document puts forward the figure, but we really do not have a proper basis on which to assess it, and we had no effort to explain the numbers to the country. Now remember, the THA budget is part of the national budget. So it's not as if you're on your own just writing a budget and looking after Tobago. You also have a responsibility to look after the country too. Tobago is half the nation, Trinidad and Tobago. And the and means half in responsibility terms. So you've got to be careful not to write budgets that are entitlements rather than budgets that reflect your responsibility to the nation. So the point fundamentally is that the 1.7% figure is there. And when I look at the underlying numbers behind it, I can't say that the numbers are themselves credible. I must say I checked the numbers. I did calculations implied by the numbers, and I'm not persuaded that the numbers make sense. For example, there is a statement in the document that the key sources of growth, the actual text is the key sectors driving this increase of 1.7% were manufacturing, 23.4%, and so on. Government, 2.6%, financial services, 2.9%. Now, of course, you have to be careful how you read that. If that reads that these sectors are themselves growing at these rates that are quoted, then it is straightforwardly wrong to say that no structural change has been happening in the economy in the last year, because the only way you could have no structural change is if all the sectors are growing at the same rate. That's not what this data says. So I'm troubled by that. If you read that to say that the sectors are contributing 23.4%, 2.9%, 2.6% to the 1.7%, then something is wrong with the numbers. For example, when you look at the information on manufacturing, if that is true about manufacturing, what you will find is that a manufacturing sector that produces $16.5 million now added $6.9 million during the year. And if that's true, then what you will have is a manufacturing sector that is growing at about 71%. And if I am running at Tobago and I am observing that in the manufacturing sector, I will run to Trinidad and say, look, we're in one country. We are onto something here in Tobago that's big. You need to bring the nation in to invest so we could scale it up. And that would be a big part of my logic for asking for collaborative efforts and financing and so on. Financial investment coming from government as well as from the private sector in Trinidad to come, let's block this good thing that we have. So the point I'm making really is that quite apart from the numbers themselves being at best incredulous, what you find here is that the way the document is written with all of the political grandstanding and so on, you're missing the real beat, which is that you have something going on. If it makes sense in the way your document says it makes sense, then the best thing to do, rather than say freeze jobs in the THA, is to go and let's scale up the investments that are good so you could create better jobs so people don't have to come to the THA for the new jobs they want, that sort of stuff. So when you look really at what is being said in the document, you have to wonder a little bit about what I was describing earlier for you as the speed of learning inside Tobago.
If we have, excuse me, this issue as you are presenting it, can we, and I always, let me preface it by saying, I always believe that to some extent, a people must be able to trust its government. If we're seeing the issues as you are presenting them, can we from that perspective look at the budget statement in general as a document that can be trusted?
That's my point. I'm a professional economist. I practice every day, and I have difficulty understanding what is being said. I also have great difficulty trusting the numbers. Now, of course, ordinary citizens may just say we trust the government, and especially the young people get their trust through social media, so they might take that perspective. But of course, what's at stake is where Tobago will be 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. What kind of world your children and grandchildren will grow up in. So, my responsibility is to come on your show and share the science, not get into the political back and forth and so on, but let's just take a look at the data and see what the science says. And when you take that view of it, you have very great difficulty relying on the numbers that are being put forward. What I think is required, though, is you have to set up a THA that has the oversight mechanism so that questions could be asked dispassionately about what the executive is doing. So whenever they come forward with things like what we're calling here a budget proposal, they wouldn't just come and spring it on you on June the 22nd, as the case might be. What they would have to do is 4 months before, present it in the THA so that the oversight mechanism could kick in, scrutinize the numbers, call in the public, ask what do you think about these numbers and so on. And the executive would get an earful from the society and from the oversight mechanism in the THA about what its numbers are saying and how the numbers are calculated. And if this was what we had set up in the THA, what we would have had by now is a robust database, functioning data creation process on which we could make judgments. As it is now, our learning is going to be delayed and even denied because we don't have the kind of data that we need in order to run a difficult economy and society like Tobago. Tobago is the hardest economy, the most difficult economy to understand in the whole Caribbean, I could tell you from practice. And it's urgent that we get our data sets right in collaboration with the CSO so that the two sets of data could add up. Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, that sort of stuff. As it is now, you can't do that. You can't take the Trinidad and Tobago figures, you can't calculate the Tobago figures and subtract and get the Trinidad figures. You can't do it that way because you can't rely on what we're doing here with numbers in Tobago. This is 2026. It's time for us to get past these ground floor things, as I pointed out with education, and move on to tackle the real problems Tobago has with its economy.
And Dr. James, the unfortunate reality, in my view, of our budget practice in Tobago for the years is where our recurrent expenditure outstrips several times our development expenditure. This year, the numbers suggest that it was like by 2/3 or so. We saw, though, a number of things listed as developmental projects and so on. Are these practical in terms of, one, where we actually need to go, and two, the current circumstance, including the resources that are available to take us in a direction that is going to change the face of our economy and move us to a place where our economy becomes less reliant and a little more independent on what we can generate?
Well, let me answer you this way. You could put an investment program in place and say you're spending on 10 priorities or 20 priorities. You can do that. And to the ordinary person, that would sound as if you're talking about development. But you have to test those against the evidence that these are elements of something we call a development drive. Now, if you're investing and you're not investing in those elements of the economy that will cause development, then you'll spend the money, and like we have seen for the longest while in Tobago, you won't get development. And when I scrutinize what I see in the document, I don't see the elements that make up anything I could call development, either for Trinidad and Tobago or for Tobago. Because if you look carefully, the ground floor investments in education are okay. But if you want development for Tobago, you have to produce exportable education. So it's not enough to say I'm interested in what's going on in Tobago's households. That's important. That's who we are. But we, the Tobagonians, must then say, okay, we're going to set up an education system so that we can sell education services to the rest of the world. The same is true regarding what you're trying to do with something like AI. The document promotes digitization of government. That's all well and good for local consumption of government services. But if you're interested in development, you can't use AI just to, and by the way, Alex, that's the same thing that was done in the midterm review, right? They're building a tier 4 data center down there in Trinidad to support the digitization of government. In other words, you bring government into the modern AI stream. But if you're going to talk development, that's nowhere near sufficient. You're going to need to deploy AI to build our learning capacity, to build our capacity to produce new scientific outputs and innovative products. That's the competition you are going to have to face. And if you're not doing that, you will get into the consumption mode with your budget. Next year, you will have more to add to the recurrent budget without generating anything we can call development that is producing exportable output. Now, let me remind Tobagonians that Tobago exports almost virtually nothing. We have anything you call tourism in Tobago is pretty much in shambles. And it's the wrong kind of tourism to be talking about, really and truly. So that's part of the problem that we have. We're not exporting and increasing our capacity to export to help pay our way as part of the nation and to help pay the nation's way. And until you see that kind of understanding in the document, you're not in the game. Let me point out something else with respect to the priorities you asked about there. If you're going to really understand whether those priorities are going to be helpful or not, quite apart from needing to understand the nature of the development program required to move the country forward, you're going to have to understand how fast you have to accelerate it. Now, if you look at the data from the midterm review, Trinidad and Tobago needs a minimum of about 6% growth per year. We're at 0.24 and Tobago is at 1.7 if we trust their data. That's far from the 5.8 to 6% approximately that you need. So you have to ask, well, where are the budget targets inside this, the development targets, the growth targets tied to the development program inside this budget document? I scrutinized it, none. In addition to that, every year we go shamelessly to the government in Trinidad for money. And this year we are asking for money on a scale that would make us even more dependent on Trinidad. Now, any self-respecting Tobago and any self-respecting THA would care that we have to take steps to reduce Tobago's economic dependence on Trinidad if we are going to pursue and persuade the country about autonomy. But when you look in the document, there are no targets, growth targets, that would tell you how to structure your programs to achieve greater self-reliance. Not self-sufficiency, but self-reliance, meaning your economy is essentially growing faster than the national economy, but not simply that, developing along the lines required for the country to develop. When I scrutinize the document from those kinds of perspectives, which are what reflect what Tobago needs to be thinking about, I don't see that. And so this whole story really has always troubled me. And when I came here in 1997 to help Ochoy, these were the perspectives we tried to put into a development plan for Tobago. Now, what I see in these documents are selections of priorities without reference to a structured plan, a structured medium term growth component built into a larger development plan, and so on. So the end result of all of this, another 1,000 years, as Mutabaruka would say, in purgatory.
That's an unfortunate place to be, but unfortunately for us as well, Dr. James, that's all the time we have this morning. We're hoping that soon enough you can join us again, and we can probably talk about the idea of exporting of non-physical material. I know oftentimes when we talk about export, we quickly think about we have to create something physical that we must sell to the rest of the world. You spoke about education services. I'm certain that in my own mind we can do some exporting of from the creative sector as well. So probably soon enough you can come and join us again.
Yeah, indeed.
So hopefully you can join us again soon, and we can look at some of those as options that Tobago and the THA can explore in terms of how we can shift our present focus. But thank you for joining us and for spending so much time with us this morning, sharing some insights and some analysis on Budget 2027. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Viewers, we take a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
As we make our wrap this morning, viewers, we want to extend our condolences to the family and friends of Oscar Benjamin on his passing, a gentleman who used his name and voice not only for himself but to create recognition for Tobago and for this country across the region and across the world. We pray that God grants peace and comfort his family and friends. We also say congratulations to young Miss Phillip on being chosen as our Junior Tourism Secretary representing the island. We say congratulations to you, congratulations to your family, congratulations of course to Signal Hill Secondary, that's my alma mater, I must say that, and we wish you all the best in the future. The Met Services advise that there is an impending tropical wave. As you saw from our live shot, there is some rain now. We encourage you to be safe, stay dry, and that's where we take a wrap. Take good care of yourselves. Luke joins us shortly for GMT. Stay with us and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Presiding officer, the motion reads, this house supports the integration of a new era of technology. Yes, it may be beneficial to all students and teachers. This is a vital motion for the greatest little island on the planet.
And I want to begin by saying how proud we are as a Tobago House of Assembly to be a part of the third primary plenary sitting. Because as the speaker before me indicated, these are things that we only dreamed about as children. But it's always important for the next generation to provide opportunities for those to come after them that they did not get themselves.
We try to do our part as a legislative body to go out there while we have these outreach programs going through the year and try to educate the children as much as possible about what parliamentary politics is about how it is that our politicians govern, how it is that they think, and when it is that they get into the chamber, how it is that they are supposed to behave, what guides their behavior, our standing orders, what is the role of the major players like our presiding officer, our minority leader, or chief secretary.
The training, I wouldn't consider it hard, but it was very engaging. I would like to say that some stuff we learned was that AI can be useful in certain things, while in other times it cannot be useful.
The experience was very scary and also exciting at the same time. I learned that even when you're presenting in your speech, don't be afraid. Just look at the presiding officer and talk as normal as you can.
What we witnessed here today was not a rehearsal. Today in these chambers was a real debate, real thinking, real courage from young people who stood up, faced this room, and argued for what they believe in. That deserves recognition every time. When drafting this motion, we wanted to focus on a topic that would accurately reflect the changing society and the changing demands of learning. I'm sure everyone here today realizes how technology has changed our daily interactions and will continue to do so in the future.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Strong and the vibes is never wrong.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago, coming to you live here on Tobago Updates. Now, as you can see from our live shot, today is a bit gloomy, but I just urging everyone to be safe on the road today. My name is Luke James Stringham, and I'm pleased to be your host for this morning's discussions. Now, we have a ram-packed segment for you today, but before we get into the fun of it, I'm going to give you the news in 90 seconds. The Caribbean music industry and wider nation are mourning the sudden passing of legendary Tobago soca artist Oscar Dennis Benjamin, affectionately known as Oscar B, who died early Sunday morning. Ironically, his passing occurred hours before a scheduled healing concert at the Shore Park complex, which instead proceeded as an emotional tribute celebrating his 4-decade career. Official tributes have poured in from Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, Tourism Secretary Zarisha Hackett, Culture Minister Michelle Benjamin, former Minority Leader Kelvin Morris, and Signal Hill Secondary School. His celebrated musical journey spanned from the Signal Hill Alumni Choir to international stardom as a lead vocalist for Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. In youth excellence, 17-year-old sixth form student Shania Phillip of Signal Hill Secondary School has been adjudged to be the 2026 Junior Secretary of Tourism. Phillip secured the top spot following a station at the Tourism Youth Congress held at the Scarborough Library. She will officially represent Tobago at the Caribbean Tourism Organization's Regional Congress in October. Finally, traffic investigators are managing several separate accidents. Vehicles overturned in major crashes near the Lambeau traffic lights and in Moriah, while a multi-vehicle smash-up was reported in Glamorgan. Meanwhile, criminal investigations are underway for 3 masked men who broke into the MP Quick Shop in Orange Hill and an alleged shoplifter at the Smart City supermarket in Scarborough was apprehended. Tune in for the full newscast at 6:30 p.m. Alright viewers, so for those of you who have been paying attention to what's been happening in this space, especially in our nearby neighbors Venezuela, a tragic earthquake would have left the country a bit depleted, and we just want to understand what is happening, because we are seeing that some of the effects are coming closer to Trinidad, and what does that mean for the island of Tobago. Now, joining us this morning to walk us through everything we are observing is Dr. Ursula Joseph, who is the director at the UA Seismic Research Center, and we will be chatting about the effects of Venezuela's 2 earthquakes on Cedros Beach and what does this mean for the small island of Tobago. Dr. Joseph, are you with us this morning?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Dr. Joseph, and I just want to thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us this morning. So I just want to start off our conversation to just for you to walk us through these earthquakes and the magnitude and why we are seeing the effects now seeping into the island of Trinidad.
So there were 2 earthquakes, a magnitude 7.2 followed by a magnitude 7.5. The importance of these earthquakes were that not only were they significantly large, but they were also very shallow, occurring between 10 to 20 kilometers deep, which means the effects of those earthquakes and the amount of energy released would have been significantly damaging to the areas, especially around the epicenter. The epicenter is the area in which the earthquake would have been generated. So the area immediately around the epicenter would have been tremendously affected, as we've all been seeing in the news, with the significant damage being seen in Venezuela. However, the broader impacts of these earthquakes is that a large amount of energy would have been released, and this not only would have created a disturbance throughout the entire plate, the Caribbean plate, but of course, being fairly close to Trinidad, we would have seen some impacts of the energy that's been released. And at the Gulf Coast, as people have been observing in the last few days, there was some impacts there that is believed to be associated from the energy that was released from the Venezuelan earthquake in the form of the slumping that's taken place at the coast and the uplift.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. And my next question for you is, should we be concerned? Because we are seeing that tragedy that happened in Venezuela is now, showing effects here on the island of Trinidad. Should we be concerned as a country?
So Trinidad and Tobago lies at the southern boundary of the Caribbean plate. And this is a very complex tectonic environment. There are a lot of different faults in addition to the actual curvature of the subduction zone. There are a lot of complex faulting in the area. And this makes us susceptible to high seismic risk. This is something that we need as a society to be aware of and more prepared for in terms of how we react. And at the higher level, it is something that needs to be built into our preparedness at a national level in the form of governance, as well as our response capabilities and our infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. And following the tragedy that occurred in Venezuela, we were hearing, whispers about, tsunami risk and this, that, and the other. In your professional opinion, how prepared do you think Trinidad and Tobago's tsunami monitoring and warning system, should such a threat ever arise? Are we prepared for something like this? Because I don't think Trinidad and Tobago is a country that is, familiar with tsunamis. So what does this mean for us?
So the Seismic Research Center actually contributes to the Caribbean Tsunami Early Warning System. And the data that we have from stations throughout the Caribbean, some of those stations are specifically, they are specific instrumentation that allows for contribution to this Caribbean Tsunami Early Warning System. So it's not only SRC, UESRC, but the other regional monitoring agencies also contribute to this monitoring system. And the data goes straight to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. And they are the ones who are 24/7 operating and are responsible for disseminating tsunami warnings to national focal points in the different islands. So this, in terms of the mechanism itself, it does exist and it works well. However, depending on where the tsunami source might arise from, there may not be very much time for persons to get a warning, because if it's a nearby earthquake, then the time between the generation of the earthquake and the tsunami reaching the coast of a nearby island is very short, and I mean minutes, So there may not be enough time for the authorities to get the response out. So that's why there is a tsunami recognition program that factors in the sharing of knowledge among communities at risk for tsunami, particularly coastal communities, on how to react if there is an earthquake or that you feel very strongly. The whole concept behind it is to understand to run to higher ground and do not wait for the authorities to provide a warning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. And when you check on social media, you're seeing all these videos and all these commentary. So we appreciate that the public seems to have an appetite for what's going on in this space. And as a doctor, as you are in this field, what are some of the misconceptions that the public has when it comes down to earthquakes that you would like to clear up this morning?
I'm actually not a seismologist. I'm a volcanologist, but I've been at seismic for over 23 years, so I'm familiar with some of the myths. What are some of the myths that I'm often people think that an earthquake in one area can cause generation of earthquakes in another area. That's not necessarily true. That meaning that the the global system is linked. That isn't necessarily true, because if you look at the same Venezuela earthquake, there were a series of earthquakes that around that same period of time that took place in different parts of the world, and they were not linked to the same system. Just that these active plate margins and earthquakes do occur, and the possibility of large earthquakes at plate boundaries is something that is a reality.
Okay, great. And, looking at this recent event, do you think that there is anything that surprised researchers that the public should really understand at this moment? Because it was a very high magnitude earthquake. So can you walk us through that, please?
So the doublet is a very rare thing, meaning that two earthquakes of similar magnitude and such large magnitudes happened within seconds of each other, less than 40 seconds. That is something that is rare, and it is something that we need to better understand. Some people actually consider it to be one earthquake but it's emerging, as I said. A lot more information needs to be done. A lot of more research, needs to be done. Because of where the epicenter is, it was considered to be this very long subduction zone faulting system. And the idea is that it was a strike slip earthquake, so that the break, so to speak, would have occurred over a specific area. And there is a thinking by some that it might just have been one large earthquake, but the rip, as the fracture took place, happened that time apart.
Okay, thank you. And, shifting our focus to Tobago, I just want you to explain to us whether or not the island is situated in the same fault system that generated these earthquakes, or are the risks different?
So it's not part of the same fault system. However, based on the location, it is close to the areas of high tectonic activity, and Tobago itself has its own seismic risk. We have a seismologist here, a previous seismologist, Dr. Joan Latchman. She would have done a lot of research on Tobago earthquakes, and a lot of that is accessible to the public, so they can learn more about the risk, seismic risk in Trinidad and Tobago if they visit our website, www.ueseismic.com, to understand, some of our national earthquake risks.
And Dr. Joseph, before we take a break and come back to you, the big question is, could seismic activity near Venezuela have any indirect effects on Tobago, such as coastal hazards or changes in geological stress?
Well, as I mentioned before, it depends on where the earthquake takes place, because the earthquake did take place a long way away, but this fault runs not only to Venezuela, but it crosses Trinidad, which is near Tobago. So depending on where an earthquake and a large magnitude earthquake takes place, yes, it is possible that Tobago can have some impacts.
Okay, Dr. Joseph, don't go away just yet. The conversations are flowing so well, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, viewers, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
My name is Carpage. I'm the head coach of St. Jago High School boys track and field team.
My name is Joseph Small. I am the head coach of the girls female program. Preparing an athlete is not just running on the track. You have the mental aspect, you have the nutrition aspect, and you have the support and the motivation. So there's a lot of factors that we have to look into, and we have to try to see how best we can deal with them as best as possible.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chill vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month with Caribbean Passport TV on this station.
Stay tuned for what's coming next.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
And I have never, ever tried anything from the dirt oven. Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday. And talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I popped the question, what you had to eat day? And boom! Coconut drops, boom, bread, boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let me hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Thursdays only. You don't keep stock, we only sell on Thursdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Backyard bakery for the win. Olia, a GT. I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
Start to rise, the energy fill the sky.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, here coming to you live on Tobago Updates. Now we are continuing our conversations with Dr. Joseph as we speak all things Venezuelan earthquakes. Now, Dr. Joseph, I want to start by asking you whether or not, when it comes down to preparedness and monitoring, how closely is UE Seismic Center monitoring this sequence of earthquakes, and what are you looking forward to in the coming days?
I'm sorry, but I could not understand the first part of your question. Can you repeat?
So I'm asking you, how closely is the UE Seismic Research Center monitoring this sequence of earthquakes, and what are you looking forward to in the coming days? This is under the prong of preparedness and monitoring.
So the first part of your question in terms of monitoring is done 24/7. But we have our network in specific locations. We do not cover the Venezuelan continent or country, territory, because they have their own agency, Funvisis. So as as a part of regional interest, yes, but we have our own network for the English-speaking Caribbean, and this is what our focus in terms of monitoring lies. So if it is that we get earthquakes in the area of our region, then we are able to track that a lot more closely, because this is where our instruments are. And this is done on a day-to-day basis, fully.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. And you know, there's this quote that says that numbers tell a story. And for viewers who may not understand earthquake and its measurements, what does a magnitude that we would have observed actually tell us?
The magnitude of the earthquake tells the size of the earthquake, whereas the intensity would be how it's felt, because, of course, persons closer to the epicenter of the earthquake, that would they would feel the intensity of that earthquake a lot more strongly than those who are further away from the epicenter would feel it. So the magnitude is an instrumental measurement that's done when the data is processed and analyzed, whereas the intensity is how people feel it.
And zoning in on Trinidad and Venezuela, in your professional opinion, how active is the seismic zone between these two islands compared to the rest of the Caribbean?
So as I would have mentioned before, we sit on the southern boundary of the Caribbean plate. So it is a very complex and seismically active area. The rest of the arc is also very active. However, we, over time, historically, with the increase in the available stations that monitor the islands, we have more and more data available, and we could identify that there are certain areas along the arc that does have where we do see more earthquakes and other areas. But in general, the subduction zone setting is one that can generate larger magnitude earthquakes.
And after this week's earthquakes, Dr. Joseph, if you could leave our viewers with 3 things that they should remember, what would those 3 things be?
So, plan, prepare, and practice. Those would be the 3 things that we tend to try to reinforce. You have a plan, meaning with your family, where your safe areas are in the house, where to meet, if you're separated, how to communicate with each other, have and prepare. This is have emergency supplies, medical kits, etc. And then practice. We do encourage in the schools and in the workplace drills, practicing drills, and this will help people to become more reactive and less prone to panic when an event happens that you need to respond to.
Thank you. And where can members of the public find, reliable information instead of relying on, social media and propaganda?
Sure. So there, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of information on our website, www.ueseismic.com, on how to best prepare for an earthquake before, during, and after. There are other trusted sources like the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, as well as TEMA, where a lot of resources are available.
Okay, so Dr. Joseph, I would just love to thank you for joining us this morning. I think the conversation really shifted our perspective about, what's happening in the seismic space. I just want to wish you a safe and productive day today. Now, viewers, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
1,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chill vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month with Caribbean Passport TV on this station.
Stay tuned for what's coming next.
And I have never, ever tried anything from the dirt oven. Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday. Talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I pop the question, what you had to eat day? And boom! Coconut drops, boom, bread, boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let we hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays only. You don't keep stock, we only sell on Tuesdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Backyard bakery for the win. Olia, a GT, I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
My name is Carpage. I'm the head coach of St. Jago High School boys track and field team.
My name is Joseph Small. I am the head coach of the girls female program. Preparing an athlete is not just running on the track. You have the mental aspect, you have the nutrition aspect, and you have the support and motivation. So there's a lot of factors that we have to look into, and we have to try to see how best we can deal with them as best as possible.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Sofa Factory is here in Tobago. Conveniently located Montessori Drive, Glen Road, Scarborough. Up to 20% off on select sofas for customization. Deals on some sofas from as low as $4,000 until stocks last. 10% off on all wardrobes. Half off on shower heads with the purchase of a vanity set. Come in and experience the new way to shop for furniture and see the quality in person.
From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. Tobago calling. Sweet vibes, sweet wine, everybody falling. We bring the culture straight to you. Tobago updates, we keeping it true. Oh gosh. Tobago updates. On the screen, here we go. You're home for October, carnival show. From the big stage shine to the rock line. We bring Tobago to the world in real time. Tobago updates. Tobago updates. Carnival 2026. We said the pace. Wave your flag. Anywhere you're there. Anywhere. Island love, criminal around you. Yeah. Big thing lock on for the rhythm start. Tobago updates. Caribbean art. Caribbean art.
Nice.
If I have to call a supervisor one more time to sign off on a customer because their financials are in a mess, I will scream.
Don't scream in a bank. That have lockup in it.
It's either they're not registered properly, or you know what? We could just forget about annual returns, right?
Compliance is a bad word to most of them. All your compliance out of here. But let me eat.
What is wrong with Trinbagonians? I mean, it has so much help they could get out there.
Well, you know, Trinis, we don't like to spend we money.
But you know what? Be comfortable with losing we money. That make it any financial
What people should do is call Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, what? Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago Tax and Accounting Services. Yeah, they offer helping from registering your business to filing your tax. My lunch is over.
Wait, tell me more.
No, go and scream in the bank. You go and scream in the bank.
No, Antoine, don't get one sooner.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about product. It's about relationships, it's about you. Quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
I'm all in time showing it, but yo, what's good you went now?
Diane Bishops, boy. Yeah,
Sure,
one of
man.
the baddest has come out of Bishops, sir.
The baddest?
Telling her, boy.
When the baddest? Why you want night and night? And I is the baddest.
My Bishop is the
That's
best,
what
boy.
you're saying. Yo, what's going on with Tola? Here, what's going on? It's only one way to settle this. We'll be live on Youth Voice TV, where I, your host, Multibass, will be hosting the Rep Your School DJ competition, where DJs will go head to head in a crazy battle to secure the title. We have cash prizes of $10,000 to come out and win, and a lot of amazing prizes. Guys, what are you waiting for? Let me come out, come and showcase your skills. Come, let me do some jobs.
So guys, there are two categories for DJs that are out of school up to 35 years, and for the DJs that are currently in school, it must up to 19 years of age. So guys, get ready. It's all about Rep Your School. It's all about the DJ competition.
Who will bring the best? Who can control the crowd? And who will earn the bragging rights? You get a chance to be a part and witness the rise of the new DJ generation. So this is Youth Voice, Rep Your School DJ, live on Tobago Updates. Stay tuned.
Youth Voice, Rep Your School DJ competition. Rep Your School.
Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339.
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka in the Grove. The golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But do you know your numbers?
Of course, 62433.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago. They offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the soca party.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and as we continue our conversations, we will be speaking about the Scarborough Starlight Talent Show, a tribute to Mr. George Stanley Baird. And joining us in studio this morning is Mr. Ben Israel, and joining us via an audio call is Ms. Stephanie Joseph, who is the events coordinator. Mr. Israel, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir, and good morning to Scarborough and your wider part of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ms. Joseph, are you hearing me?
Yes, a pleasant good morning to each and everyone.
Good morning, Miss Joseph. And Miss Joseph, I want to start with you. What was the backstory behind starting this talent show?
Okay, well, what it was, I met Mr. Israel on this project where he wanted to bring back some life and some light to Scarborough, because that's what Scarborough was in the beginning. And Scarborough, you know, there's nothing really happening that is giving that light and that life that Scarborough had back in the day. So we want to take this event and just, as you see, the name of the event is Scarborough Starlight. So we just want to brighten up Scarborough with excitement, with talent, with music, with dance, with everything that brings life. We want to bring it back to town.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Joseph. And Mr. Israel, what can we expect with this talent show? Where is it going to be held? Tell us everything that we need to know.
Well, this event was birthed out of me and Mr. Stanley Baird, who was working on some projects and events for Scarborough. One of them, namely the Heritage. We were supposed to be doing a heritage production, play and film screen kind of a production, celebrate the celebration of spirits. So while doing that, I told him, I want to do a talent show, and he endorsed it. And before he died, 2 weeks before he died, he was a part of assisting us in crafting this talent show in the way how it's supposed to go. So he gave me the blueprint, and I went ahead and called Stephanie Joseph. She was recommended by a good friend of mine, and since we have met, I think everything has been going pretty much okay. This talent show is scheduled to take place for the auditions on the 11th and the 12th at the Scarborough Auditorium.
Okay,
and then we have a preliminary rounds that will be taking place at the Shaw Park Complex.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Israel. And Miss Joseph, I want to ask you, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Israel the same question. When you look at Mr. George Stanley Beard, I just want to find out the impact that he would have had on your life, because we understand that he's no stranger to us here on the island, and he has really contributed a lot to our performing arts sector. So starting with you, Miss Joseph, what impact did Mr. Beard have on your life?
Right. Personally, I have never had the opportunity of meeting Mr. Beard, but I've heard of him over many years. And I know that he has done so much for our cultural community. And it was a very sad passing and a very sad loss that we had experienced in Tobago. But, that's my contribution.
And Mr. Israel?
Well, he would have been impacted a lot into my life, you know. You have known me through the Scarborough Fisherman Festival, and by doing the Scarborough Fisherman Festival and other activities, he reached out to me. And he had this burning passion of re-establishing back the Scarborough urban. He was very admittant of make sure that Scarborough Village Council, not just a village, but it's an urban, because it's bordered by a lot of commercial and industrial businesses, So he reached out to me, and we started working together on many little small projects, and his impact in my life would have been bringing more community spirit, having me engaging in the history of Scarborough, what went on in the yesteryear of Scarborough, and what should be taking place in Scarborough now. So, we develop a really good relationship. We also give me the history of the community center, the very first community center. I didn't know that at the time, that it was the very first community center that was in Tobago, which was in Scarborough. And then he go on to give me the history of there's a cornerstone laid by a gentleman called the Major General Sir Herbert Vance. He was the governor of British Burma in the year 1946 to 1948. And he also was the governor of Trinidad and Tobago between the year 1950 and 1955. So he would have gifted us that land in Scarborough at Bacalet to have a community center where most of these things we are attempting to do right now used to happen in Scarborough. That center was known for having all the best village music festivals. You just name it. A lot of the old folks will know about the Scarborough community center, where all these events and excitement activities used to be taking place. So,
Okay, great. And I want to understand this talent show a bit more. Is it just limited to probably vocalists or instrumentalists? Is there age group? Tell us more about the technicalities of this talent show.
Well, it's not limited to local and regional talent. Make that clear. So Trinidadians can come, Jamaicans, Inventions, Americans. It's just a talent show, for all, And we here in Tobago, we have a lot of connection and communication with people from the diaspora of Canada, America, Trinidad. We all over the place. And the age limit actually is from 14 years old upward, and the type of talent we're looking for is like any talent. Even though you could skill a ball and you have great skill in skilling a ball, a soccer ball, you can come with that talent and be able to qualify for the preliminary rounds.
Okay, and I'm seeing that the grand prize is $20,000 and a registration fee of $40.
Correct.
Now, for those who would like to apply, where can they find an application form?
You could contact Ms. Joseph. The technical man have a phone number. You could contact myself at 277-0130.
Okay. So I just want to ask a few more questions about this talent show. Now, when we look at talent shows, we often view it as a platform where our island's youth, or
Yes.
even those who are blessed with a certain gift, they are discovered. For those who may not make it to the, the actual qualifying rounds, are you all going to put something in place where they can probably be a part of something where their skills can be developed and honed?
Definitely, we have things in place for that and beyond, especially where the finalists are concerned. We're not going to just prize them with money and then turn our backs without having them being marketed, without having them being trained. Stephanie Joseph is our voice trainer, our vocal trainer. So we intend to develop the artists so that they can move on to other major competition, or by extension become a professional with maybe attending musical festivals in St. Lucia, St. Kitts, giving them that marketing package that they become the next star of the world.
Okay, great. And I understand that this talent show is a direct collaboration with the Scarborough Urban Community Village Council, right?
Yes, we are hosting it.
Okay, tell us more about that, about this Village Council, because it's something that sounds a bit new, to me.
Yes, the Village Council was re-established through Mr. Stanley Baird again. Mr. Stanley Baird called me and he said the community center is in a dilapidated condition and it needs urgent attention, and he see where I have the drive, to take up this project. So we have been re-established on May the 2nd, 2024. And since then we have been holding meetings. We had an election because the council was down so long. Comdev came, Community Development came and installed me as the interim president along with a treasurer, trustee, secretary, and PRO.
Okay.
So currently we used to host meetings at the Fairfield complex, but when the hurricane season come and the oil spill came, we had to move out there to allow them to have full control and space so that they can carry out their rescue missions. So since then, we have been hosting our meetings on the third Wednesdays at the Scarborough Library, second floor at the training room, and then we have meetings consecutively every Wednesday to keep up to date with the current events and programs we are dealing with. We're not just dealing with the talent show alone. Actually, we actually have a Sean Parisian Memorial Cricket Tournament, which will be held annually. He died in Scarborough, so we decided to take something negative and turn it into a positive.
Okay.
So this cricket event here is not for us to benefit from, but it's for the children of Mr. Parisian, who he left behind ages 6, I think, and 5 years old. So we contacted Tatil and set up a Destiny Fund for the kids. Already made some payments, and we're going to utilize this opportunity here now, where we is going to use the proceeds from this cricket tournament to put into this account for these 2 girls until they are 18 years old, where they can choose any field of profession they may like to enter into. And this tournament is carried for the 4th at Market Square to open it, and the 5th at Gardenside Street Car Park.
Okay.
Those are the 2 venues we have scheduled for it. And on top of that, we have a skill building summer camp coming up on the 13th of July, where we have trades and other sophisticated training where the camp is concerned. We have plumbing, electrical installation, agriculture, AI, podcasts, just name it. It's a very interested skill builders camp, and I urge parents to send the kids to the camp, because this is the space and the time where a lot of young men and young women get engaged with the wrong type of stuff. I remember my days coming up. We have vocational Bible school. It had all different vocational program going on that used to keep you occupied, because if you don't be occupied, your parents at home, we kill 2 fowl, we go to the river, we do all kind of stuff that the parents could come and hear that either we get drunk, we get our foot broken, things could happen to us around those times. So we decided to have this skill builders camp where we could occupy the time of young people from July the 13th to August 21st. And that's most of what's taking place in Scarborough. Last but not least, we also have a queen for the 2nd consecutive year, Yankee Murray. She will be attending the Miss Heritage Personality Show, where she'll be the Queen of Scarborough for this year. Last year, Queen was Abby Phillips, and we gave her the support. And this year, we're moving on where the Tobago heritage is concerned. And to add to that, we want to complete Stanley Beard's play, which is entitled Celebration of Spirits. That's one of the last projects we was working on with Mr. Stanley Beard.
Thank you. And Ms. Joseph, I just want to ask you if you were to encourage people to be a part of this talent show, what would you tell them to get on board?
Nice. This is the place to be. Scarborough Starlight, our first annual talent show, is something that we would be doing annually. So this is not the first or the last time that you all will hear from us. Jump on board. It's something for everyone who is really talented. We have an excellent panel of judges in every area so that we make sure we have good judgment in every talent. You know, it's a live band showcase as well. So we have musicians on display. We have guest appearances, right? I don't want to kill the surprise, so I would not say who we will be having. But yes, it's going to be amazing. And as Mr. Israel said, we have professional training for the finalists, you know, so whether they come in dancing, whether they come in singing or poetry, we have a professional on board to work so that, you know, the show is going to be one of a standard. You know, it's not just we come and we just put out anything, and, you know, it's going to be a quality, well organized, well packed. So please come on down in your numbers on the 11th and 12th of July. The auditions are from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Scarborough Library Auditorium. You don't want to miss out on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Joseph. And Mr. Israel, to you, if you were to encourage people to get on board with this talent show, what would you like to leave with them this morning?
I'd like to let them know that, you know, talent is a gift. Talent is a treasure, and it must be nurtured and it must be administered. So, no, go on the days where you just focus on education alone. Education is good, but once you are born with a gift, you know, if you've been to Europe, you've been to Canada, you've been to America, you're going to recognize there are people there who makes a lot of money, not all for just being educated, but also working and capitalizing on the talent. So I'll advise young people, you know, stay in school, work hard, but also do not have your talent as a second fiddle, you know, something you just do for a hobby. Embrace it, do to the best of your ability, because you could take your places.
Okay, understood. And unfortunately, we're all out of time this morning, but I want to thank you both for joining us here at Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are encouraging you all to be a part of this initiative, to be a part of this movement. Now, I want to thank everyone who would have tuned into this morning's show. Thank you so much for choosing Tobago Updates to start your mornings on the right note. Once again, I am Luke James Shrim, and it was my pleasure being your host for this morning. Now, I just want to encourage everyone to be very safe on the nation's road. Today we would have observed a lot of crazy things happening this weekend, so I just want to ask you all to be safe, and you know, I'm going to see you all tomorrow. So thank you once again and take care.